and welcome to the very first ever episode of Team Markey TV. My name is Olivia Whitaker, and I am digital media producer with Team Markey. And today we're going to be talking with part of our communications team about how their lives and their roles on the campaign have changed as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. So our guests today are Lauren Baumer and Adriana Rosas. Lauren is one of our communications interns on the press team. She's currently a student at Northeastern University, and after in-person classes got canceled, she went home to Kansas, and so she's now campaigning for Ed Markey in the Midwest. Adriana Rosas is our bilingual communications assistant. She's originally from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and she had to travel home to be with her family to ride out this outbreak, and so she's campaigning for Ed Markey from the Caribbean. We're going to be talking about what their work was like before this outbreak, how it's changed since then, and how they're coping with social distancing. So Lauren, let's start with you. What is your major at Northeastern? What are your career goals?
Hi.
Hi.
I am a marketing major with minors in political science and global social entrepreneurship. So currently after graduation, I'm looking for roles, either on a campaign, on Capitol Hill, or potentially doing communications at a nonprofit or something else where I feel like I can do social good.
Cool. And Adriana, what was your major back in college?
My major was environmental science. So I did a lot of marine biology work. So not remotely political science or communications-y, but I worked at my college newspaper. So that's how I kind of did the jump over to communications.
Cool. So Lauren, what do you do as an intern on Team Markey? What is it like to be a press intern, generally speaking?
Yeah, so I kind of fill in wherever something needs to be done on the press team, whether that's filling in on press clips in the mornings, helping out, transcribe videos, pulling together press lists to send out our press releases, anything really where there's a need, I, jump right in.
And Adriana, could you describe a little bit more about your role as well?
Yeah, so as sort of a bilingual press assistant, I help do a lot of the outreach to the press, but also specifically Hispanic press. So the press secretary and I kind of, help coordinate press conferences, interviews, that kind of fun stuff. I also help draft a lot of things. So, press releases, advisories. I do a lot of translations in my work too. So any content that we need translated into Spanish, I am your girl. And yeah, so my day-to-day is a lot of writing, a lot of editing, and a lot of talking to a lot of different people, especially in the press team, in the press world.
Yeah. How have you found that that's changed since all of this started? Because we're really not doing press conferences as much anymore.
Yeah. Another part of my job is kind of being out on the trail with Senator Markey. Mm-hmm. So I've been all over the state, from Pittsfield to Lawrence to, of course, Boston to the Cape, Fitchburg, Worcester, everywhere in the state we go. And we usually go, so the press team usually goes with the senator, and that's where we kind of facilitate any press requests that we get. So that part has been totally eliminated. We just aren't out on the road campaigning anymore in person. So press now is fully digital, and my work has also shifted more towards social media as well. So helping out with that, I helped, create the Markey on the Mic podcast. That's a whole new thing that we came up with to sort of connect voters with us, because we no longer have as much in-person press interactions to do that connection with voters for us.
Yeah, definitely. And Markey on the Mic's been great. I love seeing you develop that, and I love seeing it out there in the world. So Lauren, you've now been managing schoolwork as well, which I know you were doing previously as an intern. But how has it changed with remote learning on top of, working remotely?
Yeah, it's definitely been an adjustment. I was already in one online class, so that hasn't changed too much, but the biggest transition has been my big senior capstone that all Northeastern students have to complete is now online. So it's definitely been interesting, we're doing a group project through Zoom meetings, presenting, we presented to our professor over a Zoom meeting, which I never thought I would have to do. So it's been different. I think, though, I'm lucky that as a senior, I feel like I have the skills to be able to, manage my own time. I think it'd be much more difficult as a freshman, or I'm thinking of all these students in elementary, middle, and high school who are having to adjust to online learning for the first time ever.
Yeah, definitely. I know you're home with your family. What is your setup like at home to sort of have your little office space or workspace?
Yeah, I kind of post up wherever I can throughout the day. My dad is also working from home, so he's kind of taken the home office. We've had some nice days here, so when I can, I try and set up outside on the deck, or in the living room. I'm upstairs right now. I tend to move around, from day to day. It's always nice to have a change of scenery.
Yeah, definitely. Adriana, what about you? What's your setup like?
Actually, that's a really good tip, Lauren, and I should try that. I tend to I'm a creature of habit, so I've been kind of posting up in the same spot. So I kind of I do change it around in the afternoon. So I kind of just work in my room through the whole morning and part of the afternoon. And then kind of when the sun has like slightly gone down, but it's still up at like 4 p.m., I kind of will pull out a beach chair and post myself outside, just because I've found like a big part of like feeling like a big part of your emotions going kind of haywire is just being inside all the time. So going outside and getting some sun has been helpful. But yeah, I'm usually kind of in the same spot in my room, which is not good. So I'm going to try that, Lauren. Create my office elsewhere and just take over,
Yeah, my apartment is not very large, so I basically sit at the same spot every day, so I have enough room to have my mouse and my laptop and all the different like desk essentials that I bring with me. So it's definitely nice to be able to move around and important to get outside. The weather in Boston has been pretty gray overall, which I think is ultimately good for enforcing social distancing, but it's been a little tough because I'm not getting very much sunlight.
My mother was a brilliant woman. When we were growing up, she was at the kitchen table doing trigonometry or calculus or Latin with us very easily. But ultimately, my mother contracted Alzheimer's. So I tried to help my father as best I could, year after year, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years. He never flinched from the responsibility. He took care of her every single day. He did it for the love of my mother and the honor that she gave him in marrying him, as he said. He said, I was a truck driver. Your mother was a brilliant woman.
Must not cut that budget, or else all of these families with Alzheimer's will have no hope.
He was a hero, but heroes need help, and the help will be research. And I do that for my mother and father, and the honor that I try to pay to them in the same way that they paid honor to each other during their lives.
Talked about this a little bit already, but Adriana, could you take me through like a day in your new normal? Like, I know they're probably all different. I know that for myself, but more or less, what would you describe it to be like?
Yeah, work-wise, it's definitely all of them are different because there's no longer kind of a set campaign structure where like there's events to go to and you prepare for those events. So now it's kind of every day like, okay, what do we need to do? What's going on? So usually I just wake up, first thing I do is get coffee because I'm not a person until I have had coffee, and then make sure to have breakfast. The first couple of days I kind of wasn't having breakfast because I felt a little bit out of the routine, and kind of forgot to do that part of the routine every day. And that also was a big thing that I noticed, like, it didn't help. So I'm making sure to do that and then kind of check in with the digital team. So where do people need me to plug in, or check in with the press team? What are we working on? What do we need to be doing? At some point in the day, I will start working on Markey on the Mic next episode. So, like, are we editing? Are we updating the website? Which is edmarkey.com/podcast for those of you interested. And if I have to play around with the jingle, or what do I need to do? So at some point there's some Markey on the Mic in there. And then usually kind of my break is like lunch, and then sometimes playing with my dog, who is the person shuffling back here. Come on.
Oh my god.
Heavy.
Oh my god, so cute.
She's not excited to be here. Okay, you can go back. Jeez.
I think dogs are starting to get tired of people being home.
Yeah. Well, not really. She likes the attention. Yeah. So usually that'll be kind of a good break at lunch, and make sure to get some action for Goya here, because she's like inside all day. She tends to go to work with my dad, but now she can't go to work with him.
Yeah.
So she's like, it's been tough for her to be furloughed, let me tell you. So yeah, and then kind of in the afternoon I'll do like that switch to like working outside, usually for just an hour because it's like too hot. It's like 88 degrees here, so like the computer starts to heat up and it's not good.
Oh my god.
And then kind of switch back inside and finish up and prepare stuff that should be ready for the next day. So yeah, it's digital has been keeping me on my toes. I'll tell you that. Absolutely.
Yeah, it really is something different every day with the amount of, we're trying to get really creative. It's obviously it's a challenge and it's a crisis, but the opportunity to be forced to be creative with what we're doing has been definitely interesting. Lauren, what's a typical day like for you? I know you're finishing up classes now, so it's probably changed, but.
Yeah, for sure. Similarly to Adriana, wake up, get my coffee, eat breakfast, the essentials. I like to read a little bit in the morning just to kind of take some time for myself. And then diving into a mix of schoolwork and checking in with the press and digital team, seeing if there's, how I can plug in, how I can be helpful. And then figuring out, between school and work, how I can prioritize the two throughout the day. So we'll usually just work throughout the afternoon. We also just got a new little puppy. She's not here. I think she's sleeping right now, but so she's been keeping us nice and busy. But yeah, mainly working, throughout most of the day. And then at night, since I'm here, I'm home with my family. My parents have been making a point of, sitting down for dinner every night, maybe watching some Netflix or something as a family. So that's been nice in the evenings to have some time to, unplug. And, before this, I didn't know when there'd be a stretch this long that I'd just be home to see my family again. So, well, it definitely wasn't the planned reunion that, we had maybe been looking forward to. It's, been nice to have some time to come home and reconnect, especially because I don't know where I'm going to be after graduation.
Yeah, definitely have heard that from a lot of my friends who have gone home to ride this out. Definitely a silver lining, if you will. You mentioned you've been reading. I've been trying to do the same thing just a little bit, especially to get away from the screens. Being on the digital team, I look at my computer pretty much all day. So it's nice to get away from that a little bit. Adriana, what have you been doing to take time for yourself in this crazy time?
Yeah, I was going to say too that I've also been kind of reading. It's really hard when you're working like more like more structured work hours, but now nothing is structured.
Yeah.
I've been kind of making it a point to like read, even if it's kind of late at night, and watch a little bit of Netflix, of course, but I've been trying to make it like reading like the main goal, just because sometimes you get sucked into Netflix and you don't read anything. So I've also been doing that. I've been checking out ebooks from Boston Public Library, and A+ recommendation that people take advantage of that feature, let me tell you.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I've been feeling the same way, where it's very easy to just get sucked in. You're just tired after, it's stressful. Just every day has its
There's no like physical separation of like your workspace, so it's really hard to like stop working.
Yeah. Yep, I've definitely experienced that.
Okay.
She's so cute. Oh my gosh.
Joy has also been reading in her free time.
The Green New Deal isn't just a resolution, it's a revolution which it has unearthed all across this country. And that revolution is reflected in the young people who are rising up, creating an army of activists who are demanding that we end this existential threat to our planet. We can do this. We can create millions of new jobs, blue-collar jobs in our country, while simultaneously reducing dramatically the threat from climate change. I am with you all the way. We must pass a Green New Deal. We must continue to organize until it is the law of our land. Thank you all for everything that you are doing. Let's get out there and fight.
What would you guys say have been like the biggest challenges, and I guess the biggest challenges and the biggest opportunities of this time, work-wise for you?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge has been that, to like make a distinction between like when is it time to stop working, because it is so hard to stop, because I had never realized like how big, I never realized like how important the physical like space was for you to mentally kind of check out of your work environment. You agree, right? Okay. So I think that has been the biggest challenge, and slowly I've been learning how to like deal with it. I don't know if Lauren has a different challenge, but that was
I think for me, I'm a person that thrives in a routine. Like, I like having a set schedule. I like knowing what I'm going to be doing from one day to the next. I'm that person that has a color-coded planner because I have things down to when
that tracks.
Yeah. Which, if you know me, is very unsurprising. But that's just how like I'm more productive that way, and I feel like I get more done, and just my thoughts are more organized. So being pulled out of my routine, and being, it's still, I try and wake up and go to bed at the same time every day, but because I'm not going to classes at a certain time, I'm not coming into the office every day. That routine has kind of gone out the window. So it's definitely been a challenge to kind of make a new, kind of a new normal, new routine, and I guess being more comfortable with things being flexible. It's just, it's different, but getting used to it.
Yeah, definitely agree. I've like really been trying to like push my alarm earlier in the morning, so I have time to like go through a morning routine, so I'm not just like rolling out of bed and trying to focus for the day, because it really does require a lot of focus when you're sitting at home. And my nighttime routine is the same. Once I feel like I'm done with work for the day, I like go in my room and I change into my sweatpants, and then my brain knows that it's okay to turn off a little bit. What's been like an opportunity that has a silver lining, if you will, that's come out of this pandemic, where you've seen something that's been a place for growth, or for hope, or something along those lines? I know for me, just having the digital team, being forced to be creative has been, it's definitely been a challenge and an opportunity at the same time, but it's been good to sort of get forced outside of our comfort zone, if you will. So that's been a small opportunity for me. I don't know if you guys have anything different.
Yeah, I know for me, I think because I have a little bit more, like I said, my schedule is a little bit more flexible. That means that I'm able to plug in areas where I hadn't previously. So, I had been more focused on the press side of things, but now that we're all home and, communications is very focused on digital right now, I've gotten to, kind of be more in tune with what's happening on the digital side, which is super interesting to me. So I think I've gotten to learn a lot through that. And then on a more personal side, I think this has forced everyone, like me and my friends, we're used to being able to see each other on a daily basis. And so it's kind of forced us to connect in a way that we haven't before, which I think is really, obviously I'd love to see everyone in person, but it's been really cool seeing everyone scheduling, Zoom happy hours or Zoom game nights or other things to make this time, it's different, but still special.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Actually, we did the campaign at like game night, and we did like Pictionary and trivia and like all the campaign stuff on Zoom, and that was it's rare like to actually all get to hang out together in person. So the fact that we are able to do it now via Zoom and like everyone's at home, so like there isn't an excuse basically. We're like, oh, like we are out in Marshfield doing this, oh there's an event in Malden doing that, so like we really were able to, I think, like connect like everyone, and it was really fun. And I'd say that was definitely a silver lining. And also getting to like we're home, like we can't, Puerto Rico is on a 24-hour like lockdown. You can only go out if you're going to the supermarket, the doctor, like specific things, and you can only go out depending on like what number your license plate ends in on specific days. So like I'm not going out at all. So in the little free time I do have when I'm not working, usually I would like head out, but now that I can't do that, I'm making the time to like read, which is something that always gets lost in the shuffle when you're super busy. So I'd say that's like the second silver lining for me, that I've been really getting able to like dig into my pile of books that I've been wanting to read for the longest time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you both so much for talking with me today, and thank you for tuning in to this first episode of Team Markey TV. Make sure you're on the lookout for more content from Team Markey. Don't forget to visit edmarkey.com to get involved with our grassroots movement. Stay safe and stay healthy, both of you, and to all of our viewers. Bye for now.
Bye.